Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. This episode of Zone to Speak is supported by Peloton, the ultimate sunscreen for athletes. If you know me, you know I never leave the house without sunscreen, and Peloton is my go-to. It's lightweight, breathable, and designed for endurance sports, perfect for any day out on the saddle. And because they are supporting the podcast, you get 20% off your order. Just head to the link in the show notes and use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout. Protect your skin, fuel your adventures, and support the pod while you do it. Today on Zone to Speak, I am beyond excited to sit down with someone who has inspired so many of us in triathlon, not just by what he has achieved on the race course, but by how he shares his journey with the world. My guest is Josh Amberger, a professional triathlete from Australia who has spent nearly 2 decades racing at the highest levels on the long course and middle distance triathlon. Known for his fearless swim speed, courageous front pack racing, and vibrant personality, Josh has built a career that is rich with performances and stories that connect with fans and fellow athletes. Most recently, Josh announced his retirement from professional triathlon after an epic final race at Patagonman X-Tri, a brutal 226-kilometer extreme race in Patagonia. But beyond the podiums and the results, one thing I have always admired about Josh is how he writes. His race reports are some of my favorites, honest, reflective, funny, and real. Whether he's celebrating victories or unpacking defeats, Josh writes in a way that makes you feel like you are right there with him. Today, we'll talk about his journey in triathlon, what it was like to race for so long, and what life looks like now that he's stepping away from pro racing. Let's get into it. Josh, welcome to Zone to Speak.
Thanks so much. That was a lovely intro.
It's such an honor to have you here. I have looked up to you for so long and always looked forward to your race report. I know you grew up in Brisbane and came into professional triathlon at a young age. Can you take us back to your early days? What drew you to triathlon and how did your racing identity evolve as you went from local races to global competitions?
Yes, I grew up in Australia. We're a very tropical climate here, so summer all year round basically. Like we do have a winter, but it's not that cold. So swimming is something that's like really accessible and popular here to do. So I grew up competitive swimming basically. I was thrown into races from 5 or 6 years old. That's how early we start here racing.
Wow.
Yeah, by the time I was 10 or 11, I was swimming a lot, like 10 sessions a week, sometimes more.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my mum enjoyed the drive to the pool or something, or getting me out. Pretty high energy as a kid, so it's a good way to wear a kid out, throw him in a. But my swimming, swimming as a youngster really shaped my identity into adulthood. I always was in very, very elite swim squads. I basically, by the time I was 12 or 13, I was training with Olympians every day, and it really good environment in the pool. A lot of people might know a swim coach, JR, or John Rogers, who has kind of been made famous in triathlon circles with athletes like Jan Frodeno, Braden Curry. A lot of the high-end athletes that train in Noosa swim with JR. I was swimming with JR when I was 11 or 12 years old. So I was, in a really high-end swim environment and really enjoyed like pushing my limit and seeing how fast I could go in the pool. Particularly against the Olympians, I love to give them a run, despite never really being at that level in the pool. Stopped enjoying swimming when I was probably 13 or 14. I didn't really get the growth spurt that all the other kids that age did. In Australia we call them man-childs, where they're basically, you're you're 13, but you've got the body, and that's
Wow.
pretty much what
Yeah.
a good swimmer is. You need a really big frame, be very muscular. I had the engine to compete, but yeah, just not really the morphology. So I found triathlon because I needed some variety in what I was doing. Yeah, obviously spending time in the pool, you get pretty worn out from it quick. But yeah, I still love to swim, and that's what placed me so well in triathlon. And immediately, I just loved the variety of training. I could train with a running group, some cyclists, could go back to my swim squad. I was with like 3 different cohorts of people, and pushing my limits against all of them. And that, to me, that was really exciting. We've got a really good school sport program here in Australia, so you could do triathlon at school and do school competitions, which was really exciting because we got to travel the country for state titles, national titles, and kind of before I knew it, I was 16 and on the Australian team heading to my first junior world champs in Lausanne. So I would say, looking back, that's where my professional career started in 2006, 2007. Even though, by a strict definition, I wasn't really a pro because I wasn't earning money. I was definitely racing at a professional level. So yeah, 2006 was my first year of international competition, and I finished high school that year and just never stopped racing. So just year after year, found new ways to push my limits, to find events or races that motivated me. And yeah, 20 years later, I got to my retirement race in Patagonman, and yeah, it was a wild ride and a lot of fun to look back on.
Incredible. What an amazing career. And happy you found triathlon during that time and you continue on, didn't let that get you down. That's really good. And that, of course, gave you a advantage on the swim on the triathlon. You have always been known for your aggressive swim and front pack tactics, which makes races so exciting. How did you develop that racing style? And what did you mean? What did it mean for you to lead from the front? I know you're saying that you were like, since you're young on the pool, you're already chasing the Olympians. So I guess it has something to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I always just like going full gas and being a good swimmer, setting myself up at the front of the race in a triathlon just really suited that aspect of my personality of just absolutely pushing the limits. For a long time, in my junior years, I did race draft legal competition and aspired to go to the Olympics in short course racing, but just really grew tired with um, the lack of commitment of some of my peers to go full gas. It The Brownlees came in pretty short after I retired from short, but they definitely changed the game and it became swim, bike, run, like full noise the whole way. But prior to the Brownlees, every race was basically very tactical, quite boring. No one really ever put the work in on the bike. And I was always a weaker runner, so I would end up in these draft legal races, World Cups, did some World Championship series, just riding by myself or trying to break away and destroying myself for the run, and then I would absolutely get my ass handed to me on the run. So the didn't really suit how I wanted to approach the sport, and that's why I shifted to 70.3 at 21 years of age, which now isn't uncommon. Like a lot of athletes are getting straight into middle and long course triathlon from a very young age, but back then in 2011, it was actually quite different as a 21-year-old to be racing 70.3. But that's what really excited me. I loved being the younger guy, taking on all the really established athletes. Like at that time, it was Craig Alexander, Chris McCormack. They were the two big names of the sport, which I'm sure everyone remembers.
Yeah.
But a lot of athletes now wouldn't really know those as we do. But I definitely really enjoyed giving them a run for their money when I could. And,
Love
yeah,
it.
full noise definitely transitioned very well into non-drafting long distance racing because it was very much a time trial, and it's very different these days because the fields are so much denser and so packed. But back when I first started middle distance racing, it wasn't uncommon for me to have 7 or 8 minutes lead off the bike after I pushed really
Wow.
hard on the swim.
That's a lot.
I would, yeah, then I would just hold on the run, or someone would still catch me on the run. It was really thrilling racing, and we don't really see that these days, despite them going harder and faster, because the talent pool is so deep, and the
Yeah.
races are so very rare that you see one guy going off the front. It's definitely a really exciting time in my life to sort of find those limits and also take the sport. I wouldn't say personally I took the sport to a new level, but I definitely was able to show some athletes what was possible and introduce them to a new approach or a new style of racing.
Yeah. I love that. And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite distance and what is your favorite discipline?
So I really love, after everything's all said and done and my career's finished, I really love 70.3 or half distance racing because I think it's a perfect balance where you can really push hard for the whole race and not really think too much about what you're doing. You definitely still have to put in a lot of work and have a lot of maturity in your body to be able to race like that. It wasn't something that I could do straight away in the distance, but by the middle of my career, yeah, you could really just push like it was a sprint or Olympic triathlon and not really think about it. Whereas Ironman, you still have to hold back. You have to be patient. And from everything I've described, that probably tells you that that's not really in my nature to be patient or to be holding back. So yeah, I love middle distance racing and just have so many good memories of that 3.5 hours to 4 hours, just absolutely on the limit.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I mean, for anyone listening that you're not familiar with the half distance, I think usually amateurs will do it in 5.5, 6.5 hours. Amateurs in good shape. So 3.5 hours, it's incredible time. Really good. And your favorite discipline, is that the swim?
Oh, I mean, I like something about each swim bike run. I'm definitely a bit sentimental about swimming. Swimming gives you something that you can't have on the bike and the run. Swimming gets a bad rap because it's the hardest to train for. If you're
Yeah.
coming into triathlon, you're trying to learn how to swim, and it's very difficult. So, um, but for me, just that sensation of me moving through the water when you've worked out how to do it efficiently, and um, it's kind of like the sensory deprivation of it can be nice at sometimes. Like it's also something that scares people, but um,
Yeah.
water, there's no distractions. You can't look at your phone, or you can't have a
Yeah.
conversation. Um, that's parts of cycling and running. I love the social aspects of cycling and running, but swimming really gives you a chance to sort of get lost in your own head. And I've done so many swim sessions where I almost can't remember the session at the end because I've just been daydreaming the whole time, and it allows you time to just really like think and reflect, and yeah, tune out if you want. So that's something I
Yeah.
really appreciate. Cycling, I love the speed. I love the speed. I love the places like a bike course can take you. The last year, I've done some amazing races in France where I've done the Alpe d'Huez Tri, and doing climbs before you finally hit the Alpe d'Huez, and your body's absolutely destroyed, and you still have to find a way to get up the Alp. Um, they're amazing. I mean, I've done some amazing bike courses. Running, I'm not a particularly like pretty runner to watch. It's not easy for me to, I'm not a bad runner. It's just not like watching my wife Ashleigh run, for instance. But yeah, like I do love that feeling when you're fit, you're efficient, you've got it down, and you're just like just tapping along. Like that's you can really just get into that flow state with running when you're having a good one. And that's
Yeah.
something I appreciate. I don't know. I'm attracted to all aspects of triathlon. Some days, certainly, some things more than others. By the end of my triathlon career, I was pretty tired of riding my TT bike. I just kind of wanted to get fit, having adventures, stuff like that. Yeah, like there's a love and hate thing with different aspects of swim bike run, but there's something to get out of all of them.
Yeah, I agree. When you're talking about the swim, I remember when I was racing Nice and I was on the swim and the water's so blue there. And I really lost myself swimming and I was like, oh, it's so blue, it's so beautiful. And then I'm like, oh shit, I'm racing. I was really just really enjoying because it's so pretty. Yeah, the swim has that kind of magic that you really can go somewhere else. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
less.
right.
Yeah.
It's something people love about a race like Kona as well, and that adds to the whole experience of Kona. Going to the world champs and swimming in the Pacific Ocean. It's totally clear. You can see the bottom. There's fish and turtles, and it's definitely like you can really immerse yourself in nature when you're in the water if
Yeah.
you're not too. So yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned Ashley, your wife. What about her running? I mean, she is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she's yeah, much like I said, better run than me. Um, we met in triathlon in
Mm.
2007. We did our first. We were on the junior team heading to the Hamburg World Champs in 2007. There's definitely something there. And yeah, we got together a couple of years later, and yeah, still sort of I don't know, high school sweethearts. If
Yeah.
so, it's been amazing to meet the woman of your dream sport as well, and it probably took longer than what she would have liked for me to drop her knee and propose. We only got married a few years ago. um, but yeah, we've spent our life together doing the sport professionally, which has been amazing. We, not without its own challenges. For a long time, we spent months apart. She was pursuing her Olympic dream, and I was chasing full distance Ironman, and
Yeah.
quite often continents doing totally different things despite doing the same sport. So there was a lot of sacrifice in our relationship to sort of make things work. But we both respected each other's goals and what we wanted out of the sport. And it's definitely now something that I'm looking forward to in my retirement is supporting her with her dreams that she still wants to achieve. In the end, I did everything I wanted to do in the sport, and Ash still hasn't given Ironman racing a go, which is something she's very interested in. So, yeah, it's
Ex-
very exciting to contemplate her next chapter in the sport as well. And now that I'm not racing, it really gives me an opportunity to sort of foster what she wants and help her guide her through that stage and get the most out of herself. With yeah, it's in the sport.
So you'll be training together, or you guys train together, or no? Because it's different distance, it's different training. I
Yeah, I
guess
mean
it's
more or
nice
less.
to at least have the same lifestyle and uh,
Yeah, definitely. It's
yeah,
she's been doing half distance since Tokyo Olympics in 2021. She raced there, and that was her final short distance race, and then stepped up to the middle distance and found success in that straight away. That definitely gave us an opportunity to spend more time together training. Um, quite often we were still doing our own thing. If I was preparing for an Ironman and she was preparing for a half, we wouldn't do so much riding together, but we're always each other to get to the pool or the running track or something.
Yeah.
We love our runs together. And yeah, in the end, we were our, both our biggest training partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found a way to really sort of not necessarily adjust our sessions, but always we found a way to make it work that we always be in the same place at the to encourage each other. So yeah.
That's nice. And beyond results, one thing, like I said in the intro, I admired and people talk about is your ability to tell a story. Your race reports have been super insightful, raw, and genuinely entertaining. What motivated you to write about your race experience? And would you continue to write? Maybe not about, obviously, because you're not going to be racing, so it wouldn't be a race report, but would you continue to write maybe about races from the outside now?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think anyone who's listening, hearing the word, and who doesn't know my race reports, hearing the word race report might not be something to immediately like want to bring you in to what they're about. I mean, race reports are kind of boring.
Yeah, not
More
yours
like
though.
yeah, I mean, race reports are always, I guess, a personal reflection, and that potentially no one else really cares about. I in the right when blogging was out, and I always really enjoyed like doing blogs after races, and I always had good feedback on necessarily writing about anything interesting, but of course people are still interested in your experiences, and I guess I just found a way to keep writing about races in a way that I actually made me want to do it. Like I really just grew tired of saying the same thing, or like, if you've got an excuse, people are the no one excuses. But I found a way to kind of take the piss out of myself, which is something that's pretty uh unique, or not unique to Australian culture, but runs very deep in Australian culture to make fun of yourself. So definitely that was my angle for my race reporting. I don't do it all the time. I do plenty of races now where I don't really have anything to say. There's not always an idea, but if I have an idea, I really like to dive in, and yeah, fun I can have with it. I enjoy making myself laugh as much as others. And yeah, to actually have people that enjoy reading them, or quoting them or whatever, it's very satisfying, and it's definitely part of a reason why I kept doing it. I got in trouble for a few things I said here or there. I will have to show before I published it, making she was okay with it, because it was controversial, or which is understandable. But yeah, definitely, I would love to keep writing. I don't really have any plans of things to do in that space, but yeah, given the opportunity and the idea, then I'd definitely love to dive in and give something a go.
Yeah, you'll be fun to continue. I would love to continue to read those. They're really good, very entertaining, and very good writing. And now you recently announced your retirement from professional triathlon and chose one of the toughest races on the planet as your final. What went on into your decision to retire now, and why did Patagonman felt like the perfect place to close the chapter on your professional racing career?
Two questions in one. I'll try and remember each part as I dive in. So the first one was what led me to my decision to retire. I'm 36 now and have been doing the sport for 20 years at a professional level. I think at by the time you get to mid 30s, and you're still doing professional sports, in many ways you kind of lose control of your life, and it's just the level that the sport goes to these days with speed and endurance and strength, and just what it takes to be competitive in races becomes more and more each year. And as you get older, it becomes, and I've always loved pushing my limits, but at some point it just becomes too much, and you're wondering if you still have the motivation to invest that time in 3 different sports. And it was only really this year was the first year where I was able to look, just kind of like slow down and look and go, like, this is three sports at this level is actually insane. Like, we go to the pool first thing in the morning. You're cooked when you get home. You have enough to make breakfast, but then out your bike ride or your run or your gym session that you have next, um, and then to still be an adult and keep a social life, keep your home, maintain your bikes, keep on top of all your nutrition and your health. It's and your relationships at that with your partner, your family, your friends is actually insane. So I decided probably middle way through the year after I did my last Ironman in Cairns. I didn't get the result I wanted. I wanted to qualify for Kona for the 5th time, and I just put everything into was training 30 hours a week. There's more in recovery on the other side. It was just a huge investment of time to not even finish in the top 10 in that particular race. So I made the decision. I didn't make it public for some time, but I spoke with Ashleigh and said, I think this is going to be the last year. Went about planning the rest of my year, just doing races that I wanted to do that inspired me. So I still kept all my plans the same, went to Europe, basically just changed a few races. I decided Pro Series and the experience-based races. So I mentioned Alpe d'Huez. I did Jérémie, which is another amazing race in France. I did a really cool race in Pontevedra in Spain. Races that are kind of still very professional, have a lot of prize money, but they don't attract, the world champions and such, because they don't have rankings points. They don't have appearances. But they were all races that definitely had like very big experience appeal and value in doing. So that landed me to my last race that I wanted to do, Patagonman. I'd been toying with doing Patagonman for quite a few years. I think it was originally Ben Hoffman, the American pro, reached out to me and told me he put my name forward to Patagonman, thinking that I would be a good fit for them. Try and get a pro along. It's not a professional race. I think that's important. As a pro, you go there and you're the same as everyone else. It's basically about finishing. There's no prize, nothing attached to like winning Patagonman, for instance. You do it for the experience, and that was something that definitely really attracted me to Patagonman. So they had my name on their radar, and we had a meeting a few years ago. The thing about it is it's in December. It's a full distance race. We're always on holidays by December, and it's actually quite a commitment to keep training as a professional for a full distance Ironman, let alone extreme one, in December. So I never put my name forward for it, but I always had it in the back of my mind that was going to be the last race that I would do as a pro. And for a couple of reasons, I feel like a lot of professionals, they might choose Kona or something as their last race. They might not even have plans for a last race. They just don't sign up to another one. They don't really do anything personal to celebrate. And that was something that I really put some importance on doing was chasing an experience, something that really would knock off my career in a really fun and rewarding way, but also kind of signal where I want to go with the goals that I still have in sport. And for me, that's like I'm very heavy on an adventure aspect these days. And Patagonman being what it is, it just the adventure of it really attracted me to it. It was just something epic to finish on. And yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I think it was 3 or 4 months out, I finally committed to it. And that they accepted me because it's by that point the lottery's closed. As an amateur, there's no chance to get in if you're not in the lottery. I had a special privilege there to still get a start for it, despite it only being a few months out. And I really just kind of threw myself in. I hadn't watched any of the documentaries. The YouTube documentaries on them are pretty popular. It's something like because the race is so epic that
Yeah.
there's so many videos that come out. I didn't really know much about the race apart from I knew I would go there. I would have to suffer through it, but it would just be a rewarding experience. And the other part that attracted me to it is you need a crew member to go there with you. A lot of my racing, I've been at my races by myself, whether it's world champs or um, you know, Ironman South Africa or Ironman Canada or something. I've always had to travel by myself because that's the nature of our sport. It's
Yeah.
I have the privilege of having someone to go with you for various reasons. Like Ashleigh, my wife, always had her own goals. It's another thing to like pay for yourself to go to a trip and as a pro try and come out the other side without losing money. So
Yeah.
it's something you can't bring someone along oftentimes because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of going with my best mate, who we went through high school together, and he lives in a different city now, so I don't see him very often. But yeah, you need someone there to crew you the whole day. And yeah, he came along with me, and we shared the experience together. And in Patagon, you get to run the last quarter of the marathon with your crewman, and that was just a really really special moment, like running the final moments of the race. I was totally cooked. I couldn't hold a conversation, but just having someone there to share that moment with you was something really, really special. And I'll always forget. And I just couldn't be happier with finishing my career in Patagonman. I absolutely suffered like a dog to finish the race. It was really the hardest run I've ever had to do. Um, but yeah, once I crossed the finish line, like the pain just went away, and we went into full celebration mode for the next 2 days. Immersing in the finish line, watching everyone come in. It's not a big field. There's only about 200 people racing. Um, finisher might cross every 10 minutes. Sometimes they come a bit quicker in little sections, but we stayed to the finish line. We were at 8 a.m. that morning. We were still at the finish line at 11 p.m. at night when it finished. And it was just so much fun. And just a perfect way to celebrate the sport as a whole. Kind of get it. It's not I wouldn't say grassroots events, but it's definitely like a pure triathlon experience that's away from the commercialism of modern triathlon, whether it be Ironman or T100 or World Triathlon. They're all big productions that exist to make a profit. Patagonman wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
It was pure sense for me, and that's also part of what made it very special.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, finish that brutal race and also being your final race as a pro probably was such a big high. And yeah, I agree. Like the extreme races are, like you said, not grassroots, but it's a completely different vibe. I think I being a former triathlete as well and doing ultra cycling now, I feel like the extremes are a little bit like ultra, where everybody's a hero, like just to finish something like that. It's so massive. I was crew for a friend of mine on Iceland Extreme. I think they call Island Extreme. And that was incredible to be part of it as well. Yeah, maybe you should check it out, that one.
I haven't heard. Don't tempt me
Yeah.
into any more ones because I'm done. Yeah.
Um, Training, coaching, and the science around triathlon has evolved a lot, and you've been there for 20 years. So there was a lot that changed from when you started to when you retired. Um, what do you think you have adapted in your training and racing mindset over the years, and what you think it stay constant?
I think that it's pretty easy to say that the biggest change in training and racing, and the biggest change that I took on personally was nutrition.
Mm.
There's so this around nutrition. There's so much more knowledge. There's so many more products.
Yeah.
It's definitely something really put the accelerator on performance is better nutrition. When I was young, we would go out for a long ride or a long run, probably not having fuel properly to start, but not really even thinking about eating along the way. You just kind of wait till you're bonked until you stopped at the gas station for a Coke and a sausage roll or something. Um, it's definitely changed like a lot. No matter what the sport is, it's a really pushing the boundaries now with what's possible in sport. I feel like we were definitely the young guys weren't the ones pushing the limits. We were definitely like changing the sport in different ways, but I feel like we always were still handicapped against the older athletes because we had no idea about fueling. But now there's so much knowledge and availability, or just even conversation about fueling. Like you can't go for a weekend in the summer without seeing a million different fueling stats posted on social media. And
Yeah.
that's really helps people to find their potential a lot earlier, and avoid a lot of heartbreak and punishment by lack of nutrition. So definitely say that that's the biggest aspect. I definitely feel like when I started my professional career, like there was no platform for metrics or daily, daily. Take for instance, like Training Peaks, a really easily viewable and training diary that gives you a lot of stats and metrics, and along with that, we've got obviously growth of like power meters, essentially
Yeah.
like a normalization of using power meters. When I first started my career, it was a really expensive tool that not many people had, and now it's essentially everyone who rides a bike has a power meter.
Yeah.
Heart rate in there, all the way through to like glucose monitors and core sensors. There's basically that, and that's not even taking into like all the HRV metrics that are available. There's so much data that you can collect. A lot of that stuff for me, I say that that's a massive innovation in sport, but also for me, I didn't take up every one of them. Like I've never had a Whoop or an Oura Ring. Worse, I just wasn't really interested in documenting absolutely everything, collecting data about everything in my career, and potentially that's why I never reached like a level. I never won a world title, for instance. A lot of people talk about the athletes that leave no stone unturned. Maybe I was one of them that left stones unturned by not tapping into that kind of training, but I'm also not the kind of athlete that is totally obsessed about what I'm doing. And for me, that was always important to maintain a balance in what I was doing. I feel like you can't have an enjoyable and long career in anything if you don't have the balance. And for me, it's okay looking back knowing I didn't do absolutely everything, because I also I really feel like that allowed me to really enjoy what I was doing.
That's
I always,
important.
yeah, definitely. And looking back on your career, there's really nothing I can say I didn't enjoy. There, sure, some years were harder than others. Had some injuries. Went through some periods where motivation was lacking, but definitely the balance for me was always there. And yeah, that I would definitely say that yeah, keeping that balance, you really needed to sort of pick and choose what you wanted to pursue and not pursue in that performance.
I think that's super, super important, and a very important point that I think most people should take note, pros or amateurs, leave some stones unturned. If it means your mental health and having fun, I think, I mean, what do I know, right? I just do this for fun, but even doing just for fun and having a structured training you can get burned out, with
Mm.
data and with, the schedule. So I cannot even imagine on a pro level. And I think maintaining that fun aspect and being mentally healthy and enjoying what you do, it's more important than maybe any title. But what do I know?
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, think that. I particularly in triathlon, a sport like a discipline like Ironman, it's so easy to become obsessed about it, and
Yeah.
in some need to have a level of obsession to train for it.
Yeah.
Um, but so many people in my time in the sport came in um, all in on racing. They did a full season where they, as an amateur, might have done 2 or 3 Ironmans a year, and just like that, they've finished as quick as they started, because either their body let them down, they realize like it's actually not possible to have a family life, or it's
Yeah.
too expensive. And yeah, it's really a brutal sport where it will level you if you don't have that balance right.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that's why you lasted 20
yeah,
years, and you went
yeah,
out on your own terms, healthy. Stepping off the pro circuit means stepping away from this. It doesn't mean stepping away from the sport. It just means maybe redefining what your relationship looks like. So I wanted to know, like, what are you most looking forward to now? New adventures, different goals, or is that something totally unexpected? I have seen your Instagram with some gravel riding. Tell me what's happening.
yeah. So I definitely, despite wrapping up my professional triathlon career, I still want to be pursuing endurance challenges. I feel like it's something that I'm never going to be able to separate from my life, is the the enjoyment I get from being out there in nature, doing something extreme, or just doing something. Yeah, just really enjoying the outdoors. In my last few years of my career, I spent a lot of time gravel riding, bike packing, just doing stuff that really inspired me in a different way to get out there and do some aerobic training. It might not help specifically for triathlon skills, but just that variety in um, riding on a gravel bike, wherever that can take you. It's something that really motivated me, and I really want to explore that in my first year away from triathlon. So I'm fortunate that I don't have to find a job straight away. Um, it's essentially allowing me to kind of keep on that high level, just doing something totally different. So I am spending quite a bit of time training on the bike, and I want to, for the first part of the year, really want to qualify for Gravel Worlds, which is in Australia. Just as an amateur, of course. So I'll be racing 30 to 39 age group, which sounds weird because I've never been in a group.
That would be
Um,
fun to line up on the age group. Yeah.
yeah, Yeah, and I did a couple gravel races last year and just really, really enjoyed the different nature of bike racing. It's so tactically different to triathlon, and because triathlon is essentially a time trial,
Yeah.
whereas bike racing, it's explosive, it's tactical, it's really dynamic, and
Yeah.
I want to qualify for the gravel worlds. I'm doing my first qualification in May in Australia, and that's actually over the gravel worlds course. And from there, I go to Unbound, where I've got a lottery start for the Unbound XL, which
Oh,
is
fun.
300 miles, 560 kilometers. So I'm basically throwing myself in the deep end here. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to train for a what is essentially a full day race.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what gear I'm going to need. I know I'm probably going to need to ride through the night.
Yeah.
Need a lot of sugar and carbs and caffeine to get me through. That's that's about all the only certainty I know that I'll face in that race, apart from like a lot of internal dialogue. But that's something that really kind of excites me to do a challenge like that. And from there, I will probably see what I enter for the rest of the year. But I'm also looking at something like Badlands.
Ooh, I done that.
Yeah, I'd actually like to pick your brain about that. But that's I need to talk to Ash about that one. I haven't got that one past the boss yet, so I'll mention that to her and see what she says.
Cool.
Because kind of she's giving me a pretty big leash this year with what I do, but she's still on board with it. So I would love to do that, and then get fit for the world champs at the end of the year. And then I would also love to really do some bikepacking adventures. We have something here in Australia called the Hunt 1000, which is like a more or less 1,000K bikepacking race. You don't have to race it; you can just do it on your own terms. But that's a really popular one here in Australia. Something I've had my eyes on for a few years, but now finally get the chance to take on. So, and I'm sure in the years to come there'll be definitely more stuff that interests me. Atlas Mountains also something that I've heard about. Um, Pretty other wild challenges.
Well, a lot of cool stuff. And I am so excited you're going to Unbound. For me, it's going to make it so much more exciting to track and cheer you on. And I'm really excited to see what comes next for you and keep on cheering you on. I've been such a fan. I'm so happy you made time to be on Zone Speak. Thank you so much for inspiring me and inspiring so many of us.
Thanks, Juliana. I enjoyed the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.